This is the weekend edition of Ifiber One News, where we present some of the top stories from this week and your weekend weather forecast. I'm Bethany Jenks. Stay tuned for the weekend edition of Ifiber One News.
From the Ifiber One HD studio here in the heart of the Columbia Basin, this is Ifiber One News, your #1 source for local news, sports headlines, and our very own Weather Center forecast covering the entire Columbia Basin. This is Ifiber One News, and it starts now.
One of our top stories for this week was about the Big Bend Community College helicopter training program. Reporter Devin Higgins took a flight with the instructor and has the story.
Heath Davis says he's got the best office in the world. On a clear day at 3,500 feet, it's hard to argue to the contrary. Davis is one of the instructors teaching the next generation of pilots in Big Bend Community College's helicopter training program. Big Bend's had a flight program for airplanes since 1965, but helicopters were added 3 years ago.
Inland Helicopters, who is based out of Spokane over there, got the contract with Big Bend. They wanted to expand and start a professional pilot program here at the college. So that's what brought them here, and that's why we're here. We're contracted by the college to provide all the rotary craft flight training.
First-year flyer John Corbett was in the cockpit with Davis for his first solo exercise, and he said he likes the opportunity to fly something other than fixed-wing aircraft.
I don't know, I find the jobs they do interesting, and I don't know, planes just don't excite me as much as the helicopters do.
Davis said one of the misconceptions pilots often make is that maneuvering a helicopter is similar to an airplane.
Helicopters are inherently unstable. It takes all, limbs, as you saw, both arms, both legs, and, high amount of coordination to fly a helicopter. An airplane is very stable. It wants to fly. You can actually set the power and trim, and it will fly straight and level. Versus a helicopter, you have to be hands-on at all times. So people who come from airplanes and then start flying helicopters have to be retrained all over again, basically. So a lot of people don't understand that, but the basics of navigation and everything else are still there, but a lot of the fundamentals of control of the helicopter have to be retaught.
Students obtain both a private and commercial license during their 2 years in the program and learn to fly in virtually all weather conditions. By the time they graduate, students log about 250 hours in the air and have certification to also be flight instructors themselves. Davis said some of his trainees have gone on to work as pilots in the agricultural and fishing industries as they build experience towards other opportunities. Being an instructor is what keeps him climbing back into the cockpit.
I just love people, when they get introduced to aviation, it's just like they catch that spark, They love flying. It's a whole new freedom when they learn to start flying. And I just love showing people my passion, which is flying. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of that.
In Moses Lake, Devin Higgins for Ifiber One News.
In Moses Lake, emergency personnel were honored this week for their life-saving CPR actions, saving the lives of 3 people in the past few months. Reporter Joe Utter has the details.
More than a dozen emergency personnel were honored in Moses Lake Thursday morning for their CPR life-saving efforts. Members of the Moses Lake Fire and Police Departments and MAC Dispatch were on hand to recognize their co-workers' life-saving actions during 3 incidents involving cardiac arrest. In all 3, high-performance CPR was used to save the patients. Assistant Fire Chief Pete Kunjara said it takes everyone to have a successful CPR save.
It takes a lot of different people in a community. Start out with the dispatcher, the family member who know how to do CPR, and police department.
Moses Lake EMTs use a more intense and effective version of CPR called high-performance CPR that requires faster and deeper chest compressions. The department's EMT instructor explains.
Okay, high-performance CPR is a group effort that is a minimum of 6 people on the scene in order to do it efficiently. So you have 2 people that are trading off doing CPR. Nobody does CPR for more than 2 minutes at a time because of the high performance on it. You lose your efficiency after 2 minutes. It's a group thing that is done with high training. is manpower intensive, so it takes 6 people to do it correctly.
This is Joe Utter for Ifiber One News.
And now we take a look at people being sought by law enforcement.
This is Sheriff Tom Jones with the Grant County Sheriff's Office. Each of the people you see here have a warrant for their arrest. If you see any of these people, we ask you do not attempt to detain or apprehend them, but call us at 509-762-1160 or send us an email at crimetips@co.grant.wa.us. If the person is presenting a danger, call 911. With your help, we can bring these people to justice and make our community safer.
We'll be right back after this.